finding that balance is the hardest part, you know? Just because you have the means to do it doesn't mean that you're gonna do it effectively, right? But when you're an expert at what you do and nobody can do it like you do, when they need you or when they need that to be done, they're gonna look for that expert and you're supposed to be in that position.
You have all the things that you used to dream about having.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yep. Every day is a different day in my life.
What's good, bro?
Chilling.
Well, I'm joined today by BBoy Zeku. For those of you who are new to this show, it's called Your Relationship with Money. I know you're new to the show. And so it's just gonna be about how you've thought about money and your relationship with money. So how does it make you feel? How do you feel about it going forward? How do you use it? Things like that. I interject some of my experience. But Zeku here, owner of BREAKINMIA. I actually met you a long time ago. I know we talked about this in St. Louis. He was dating a girl out there. I was younger too. I was in my I was like 22, 23, like 10 years ago. Came out here eventually. I moved to New York, did a bunch of life stuff, came out, ended up in Miami. You got a studio at this point, right? Own crew, own studio, it's dope to see. And I trained there, and that's how I got to know you a little bit more. You guys battle all over the place, tons of clips on Stance and all these other channels. If y'all aren't familiar, and all of y'all aren't dancers, but go to YouTube, type in B-boying or breaking is what people call it. There's channels called Stance and all these other big dance channels. You'll see his face. I promise you'll recognize it. But yeah, man, what else do people know about you just off the bat?
Yeah, my name is Zeku to the dance community, but my real name is Sergio Garcia. And that's kind of like the name that people know me outside of dance.
Yep.
And yeah, man, I've been born and raised in Miami my whole life. I'm 26. I just recently turned 26. And what year was it that you came to Miami?
It would have been like 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago. So yeah, we started in 2017. So you still were like seeing, we still feel very grassroots, but you were still, you got to see like the very beginning almost,
Definitely. I mean, even in the time that I've been here, the events have grown exponentially. So
thank you, man. Thank you. So yeah, man, we got the studio BREAKINMIA that it's essentially just a space, a lot of people label it a dance studio or a dance space, but in reality, it's just a space, for if you want to use it for dance, you can. If you want to use it for rehearsal, music rehearsal, we've had people rent it out and do premieres with projectors. We had that courtesy of Mad Labs, one of our partners. So yeah, man, it's just a space. It started out, we didn't have a place to practice, so we needed one. And then it eventually turned into a business because the place needed to maintain itself, of course.
Yep.
And yeah, then that eventually led us to having an event. None of us really club or party and go out like that, but we love to socialize. Kind of a little bit weird, But I guess the environment plays a big role in that. So the event kind of unfolded into us just wanting to have a monthly event where we could link up with our friends and family, community members, dance, have a good time. And that eventually turned into a competition and we started putting money up for it. Now we have sponsors, vendors, and we get to activate this 50,000 square foot warehouse with our partnership with Mad Labs. Shout out to Mark. And yeah, then it eventually turned into a crew. That was never the idea. BREAKINMIA was never supposed to be a crew. Yeah, man, just kind of crazy how things unfold as you go. Like the saying, just start and it'll happen. We are living proof of that, bro.
Trust me, bro. I'm sitting here. I never thought I'd be doing this.
Yeah,
right. This stuff is just like,
exactly.
It's crazy, but cool. That's dope, man. Are y'all still looking for more sponsors?
Yeah, man. I think sponsors are great, and I love my sponsors. I have a great relationship with my sponsors, Monster Energy, Saucony, and then within BREAKINMIA, there's Red Bull, there's Nike, JanSport, I believe. Yeah, the sponsors are great, but in reality, we want to, in the perfect world, become a sponsor. We want to be able to endorse dancers and dance spaces and help them kind of cultivate and build what our dream is. But just like any niche that's like growing little by little, you kind of have to be the guinea pig, and kind of selfless and just kind of build that blueprint. So we want sponsors, of course, like anybody else. If somebody paid you to do what you do, you would take it, but essentially that's not sustainable long term.
It always comes with strings. Because trust me, people, I get my inbox, hey, we'd love to run a paid video on your channel. It's like, well, as soon as I start doing stuff for money, people can tell when you're doing stuff for money.
Yeah.
Right. And it is what it is, but it can dilute your brand, it can dilute your purpose.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I get that. But if any of y'all watching this want to be a part, I'd say if you want to help out and be a part of the community, listen to their leadership, and you want to put your money where your mouth is, hit them up. But let's go back in time. So born and raised in Miami. What was your, I guess, think of like grade school, right? What was your perception of money, or what was kind of like the concepts that you got from your family?
Mm.
What was it like being a kid? And yeah, let's just talk about that time and what you thought about money then.
Yeah, well, I grew up, I would say, pretty poor, but I didn't really recognize that we were poor until I was like about 8 years old. And I think my main focus is just making sure that everybody knows, like, this is a show about money, but uh, I think happiness is really like a main focus with money, because you see a lot of people with money that are not happy. And then you see people that don't have a lot of money but are very happy. And I
Yeah.
think my mom was a great example of that. We didn't have a lot of money, but there was a lot of happiness and a lot of love within my household that I didn't realize that we were poor until I got around people who weren't poor. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't know you have like 3 cars and your AC works and like you get lunch, and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
but early on, maybe because I was raised by a single parent, just like with my mom and my older brother, something about the way my mind worked. I still am a very curious person. I was a very curious kid. And I was very aware, and I was aware of like emotions and my environment and the people around me, behaviors. So seeing my mom like stress and struggle and cry, and seeing my older brother, he's kind of it's kind of seeping down to him a little bit. And I'm like the younger child. So everything's kind of being masked away a little bit for me. But as a kid, I always paid attention to those things. So money became important in my radar very quickly because I understood what I could do with it.
Yeah.
I understood the problems that I could solve with it. I understood the freedom that came along with it, and I understood the power that came along with it. And I don't want anybody to misinterpret that. But if you don't like the way somebody's doing something and you feel like they're doing it with negative intention, if you feel like you have good intention, the only way to take that power back is to either align and have the same amount of power or have more. And in this world, like you just said it, money talks, put your money where your mouth is. So unfortunately, it's the world that we live in. And one of my past mentors has like the best quote in the world. And he says, they say money doesn't make you happy, but it does. You just got to give it away. So I feel like my
Mm.
heart resonated with that really early on as a kid. My prayers have always been like, I just want to make enough to help those around me, my family, my friends, and anybody that I can.
That's huge, man. I can think back to, I can relate to your story too. Also grew up poor and saw how a lack of money created conflict, right? My parents used to fight about it every single day, just
Mhm.
arguing, which affected me in one way. But so my initial pursuit of money was like, I don't want to feel that pain, right? But then eventually you do well enough and then you actually have enough to give, whether it's a little or a lot, right?
Yep.
Because what's a little or a lot to you is different than somebody who has a different set of
Yep.
problems, right? And so being able to help somebody out, and it's like it's not a burden on you either, right? You have enough in your cup to share. It's huge, man. And like
Yeah.
that's what life is about. I'm curious in your experience, right? Or actually there's one more thing you talked about, right? So money and getting stuff done, like
Mhm.
power. So, and this is really why I started this show, is to talk about these things. We often, especially here in Miami as a backdrop, I love talking to people here because
Yeah.
it's just stuff. We think of the material in Miami,
Yeah.
right?
Melting pot, bro.
But there's also that power component and there's like purpose. So if you want to change the world, if you want to do something, you said you've got to do it yourself. Well, doing it yourself requires the means,
Yep.
right? So let's just say throwing an event. It's not free. You got to have
100%
the space. Got to have the personnel, MC skills. You got to
Yeah.
have a DJ, right? People got to want to go to your event. You can't just throw the event. It's got to not suck,
Yeah.
right? So all that takes resources, skills, and the ability to make it happen. So I think people can relate. It's like if you've ever went to an event and you didn't like it, the obvious answer is throw your own event.
Yeah.
Ain't so easy though.
And then,
right?
yeah, it's a double-edged sword because we see a lot of people that have money but don't got no vision. And I think that picking your personnel is not just like a check. It's not just like a list of people. It has to be thought out. And then the other side of it is like you see a lot of people with vision that don't got the resources. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? So it's finding that balance is the hardest part. A lot of
Yep.
the times creatives suffer with resources, and then people who have a lot of resources suffer with the creative side of it. So I think that that's also the balance, because you could want to do something about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you can, you can.
Yeah.
If that makes sense,
Yeah.
just because you have the means to do it doesn't mean that you're gonna do it effectively, right?
Right.
So it's also understanding like who should do it and who should just enable people to do it,
Yeah.
like going to the professionals. I think that that creates a good balance between like the ego and being intelligent, like being smart. You know what I'm saying? Like just because I could do it doesn't mean I'm gonna go ahead and do it if I know that Forrest can do it. I'm not gonna go start my own podcast if Forrest is looking for somebody to start a podcast with and already has this setup. Why would I go and do my whole other setup?
Yeah.
Even though I feel confident enough to do it.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole word. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I can tell y'all, as somebody who feels like a jack of all trades, like don't waste your time doing stuff unless your heart's in it.
Yeah, bro.
Too, like your heart has to be in it, because you'll have like that immediate jump start, and then you'll want to quit, right? Because the novelty will wear off. Somebody else will do it better, who actually loves it.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be feeling bad. But
Yeah.
how did you fight that place that a lot of creatives have, right? Where it gets the financing component, right? How were you able to, because you own a studio, right? You run a studio. So I'm sure that's it's just a daily concern. You run a business, right?
Every day.
It's just every day you're
24.
money in, money out. So how were you, I guess we're kind of jumping ahead here, but when did you start actually thinking about how to change that for yourself?
How to just get like more serious about like finances.
Yeah,
Like,
like financing yourself as a dancer or just in general.
So it started off as a dancer. I fell in love with breaking at the age of 11, 12 years old. And that has always been the engine to keep going. So figuring it out was just part of the journey, Finances, again, like I told you before, even dance was a prominent thing in my radar that I knew I had to take serious. As a kid, you don't understand the like consequence yet, and like your decisions will lead to results that are going to affect you for the rest of your life. But I thank God every day that he blessed me with a mother and an older brother and a father that I was just good people to be around, mentors, friends that I always thought about my future.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do, but I just started doing things. I remember I applied. The first thing I did was apply to Publix to be like a bag boy. I was 14. And they didn't give me the job. Like they denied me to get the job. Whether it was age or whatever the case may be, because at 14 at that time you could be a bag boy at least.
Yeah.
And then you get the job and I was like, well, I'm gonna go street perform then. And I started street performing, and like long story short, started off me by myself, street performing, making $2-3 a day, which was enough to take the bus and like buy something at 7-Eleven and eat for the day. $3, bro. To fast forward like 4 or 5 years later, we technically had like employees. We had like 6, 7 people in rotation, working, doing the street performances, making a decent amount of money per show on a street corner. And then that turned into how I bought my first car. That turned in how I got to travel and start to compete in different places out of state. I was sleeping at airports and I was couch surfing and I was eating dollar meals, but I was getting forward. I was moving forward with my vision, right? So I just knew in order for me to do these things, I got to keep making money. I'm not old enough to go get a job because I'm 14, 15, 16, 17. Throughout that time, it's hard to get a job, In that process, I ended up picking up a small little endorsement deal, silverback breaking events, that the proposal was actually written by one of my close friends from New York, Eli Chapman, BBoy Damien. He was a kid and he wrote a proposal to like a multi-billionaire and was like, yo, believe in these kids. And I was part of that group. And bro, he got it approved. And then this guy was a multi-billionaire. He's like, hey man, I believe in this vision. Like, we weren't getting much, but we got our flights covered. We got our hotel covered. And we got like $100, but we were kids. What we could do with that is amazing, right? And then that slowly turned into, okay, now we got to win events, and events have this certain amount of payouts. And then now if you're winning these certain amount of events and you're placing within the top 3, now you have brands that are coming into the culture and are willing to endorse these athletes and support them. So now I got to get one of those. Then I get around somebody like Moy, the founder of Break Free. I see this man has houses and cars and a beautiful family, business. And I go, okay, so now I got to get me one of these, a business that allows me to do what I do with ease, like mixing my hobby with my career.
Yeah.
Like that never made sense to me, even as a kid, seeing people choose a career that had nothing to do with what they actually like just because it made them money.
Well, a lot of people
You
run
know?
away from that. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
they don't want to turn their hobby into work.
Yeah.
Whereas you kind of found synergy there.
For
Right.
me, when I would see, again, I was very analytical as a kid, still am to this day. Like I see the lifestyle and how you live and your behavior, you know, like you don't seem happy. You're making money and you have freedom, but to what extent, you know, when I got blessed, like I said, to be around people, that's the only lifestyle I know. The only lifestyle that I know is make your own decisions, pay the price for your consequences, whether it's positive or negative, and keep going. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you can't, you shouldn't worry about anything you can't like control. You feel me? And I feel like that about jobs sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like there's people in there with amazing work ethic, but because of the chain of approval, they can't even get things done because it's not theirs. You know what I'm saying? That would frustrate me, truthfully. So I don't even feel like I personally would thrive in that type of environment. So finding ways to sustain myself financially through what I love to do and what I enjoy has been the focus since I was street performing till fast forward current day, you know?
So money for you at this time has always been just a means to really do what you love, which is like breaking.
Yeah.
Right. Which most dancers get. I think what a lot of people who aren't dancers, which is probably most of my audience watching this,
Yeah.
even though they might know I'm a B-boy, one, they probably don't understand what it's like to love something or to find something that you love. I feel like as dancers, we're lucky.
Yeah.
No matter where we are in life, we're lucky to have discovered something that we just love. Like it's an affliction. I tell people like, I gotta dance. Like you just wanna break,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So a lot of people don't have that. And so it's hard for them to pursue something so strongly. But I guess my question to you is, while you were in that, were there any major setbacks? Like you said, you were battling, and part of the way that this works is there's competitions. Think of a tournament style, and first place, second place will get a prize, right? So if you win, you get money. If you don't win, you pay for a flight, you pay for food,
Hotel, transportation
and
to and from the event.
you made no money. So
No money.
were there any like setbacks or like losses that you remember?
100%, bro. 100%. I mean, the people watching there are not breakers, but you're a breaker. So you know what event payouts look like. So I'm going to give y'all context. Like there's events that you will travel across the ocean. Like you will go from
16-hour flight,
United States to Europe, whatever the case may be. They're paying you like $500 to win an event.
Yeah.
Like you could generate that off of a couple products. You could generate that off of 2 memberships for a service. You know what I'm saying? Like think about the travel time, think about preparation time, and then you lose and then you make 0, but you were like gambling for like 500. Didn't make no sense. So for me, I wasn't looking at it as like, oh, I wasn't focused like this is gonna make me bread right now. It's gonna make me money right now. We're just talking outside. You're a long-term vision guy. So I just knew going to these competitions and having a certain image, building a certain business model around this will eventually catch the eyes of brands that will want to invest that type of money to make it sustainable. Because as a breaker, you're in it now. For somebody who wasn't a breaker, that big cash flow didn't start coming until recently. Recently, you know what I'm saying? Where now there was just an all-style jam for $100,000. That's $50,000.
Wait, what event was that?
It was called Beyond Doubt. It was sponsored by Nike, Snipes, a couple other people in the background. I don't know if they want to like say it, you know, but we know.
You can you can say whatever you want on this show.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know if they want to remain silent sponsors or whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna respect that. But yeah, it was $100,000 and 2 people walked away with $50,000 for one night of work. And again, as an athlete, yes, I know it's not one night of work, but technically as an athlete, I can let you know right now, when you win that, it feels like one night of work.
Yeah.
You just made $50,000 to dance, bro.
Battling, doing what you love too.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, my mind is so optimistic that I see that and I go, there's no way that's the last one. There's a reason why these multi-million, billion-dollar companies or entities are investing that type of money into it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the culture, you know, the influence that hip hop culture has is insane. You know, it's immense for decades. You know, so
I want to touch on that a little bit, because this is something I think people outside the community definitely won't get, so we can shed some light on it at the same time. But how do you feel dancers, or how responsible do you think that individual dancers or artists are even for being commercial enough to get brand deals while also being original, right? And I'll give an example, right? We know a lot of starving artists. I've sat down with We used to do like these workshops in St. Louis where we get all the B-boys in the city. I'll give you a specific example. You remember Airsick?
Yes, of course, bro.
Yeah. So he
Shout out
got
to Airsick, man.
Yeah, shout out to Airsick.
Yeah.
Mentor of mine from back in the day, taught me some concepts on levels and stuff that I can't do because my ankles don't work. But I remember him. I'll pass him on. But we got all the dancers together, and the idea was to set a minimum floor for work, right? And one of the problems that happened in that meeting is that people wouldn't agree. Think of like it wasn't a union, but he's basically saying, "Hey, you guys should not work for less than this amount. That's because you're
100%.
undercutting each other."
I agree.
And what's interesting to me was, one, I wasn't really doing that professional work anyways. This didn't really apply to him because he wasn't the one with the problem. He was the one making the argument. But it definitely applies to a lot of dancers where people, they don't value themselves. They also don't want to be too commercial, and then they end up with no money.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you think dancers or really anybody should handle promoting themselves while maybe not, giving up whatever power or originality they think is there?
That's a good point. And I was having this conversation the other day. I think a no is a lot stronger than people think it is. But it's what you do with that no. I think I could reference myself, or BREAKINMIA as a good example of that. I could probably reference Logan Logistics as well as a very good balance of that. I think if your integrity is at the center of everything that you do, that's what truly matters. Whether people say you're not commercial enough, or you're not original enough, you're not raw enough, you didn't grind and go hard for that reason. You did it to be successful and be happy, and whatever that is to you, that's what should matter most, I personally don't do a lot of commercial work. I'm not signed to an agency. I've never been signed to an agency, but I've done a lot of major work with big brands like Meta and like crazy brands that I've worked with. But it was them contacting me to do what I do. I think understanding that, like, when you put yourself out to do anything, you're going to end up doing anything. But when you're an expert at what you do and nobody can do it like you do, when they need you or when they need that to be done, they're going to look for that expert, and you're supposed to be in that position, which is the simple step that people always use where they say success or success is opportunity meets preparation, right?
Yep.
You put that together, you get success. So it's the same thing. I think some people get caught up in just chasing that success rather than just building that moment of like, when they need me to do what I do, I'm going to do it well. Another famous quote: you look good, you feel good, you play good, do good, they pay good, right? That famous quote, however it goes, it's not word for word, but it's that simple, bro. A lot of the times it really be that simple, but people are just so caught up with making the money, being in the entertainment world enough for people to be happy, being raw enough for people to be happy, when in reality, just do what you like to do. Make sure your integrity is there. Make sure your happiness is there. Bro, however people look at it, however people look at it, I think the balance will organically and authentically happen if you just focus on that, your integrity and what you like.
Yeah, that and a lot of hard work too. I mean,
100%.
Can't forget that it's not going to be easy to, one, look long term. I think that's this channel, or not this channel. This channel's new, but my YouTube channel, go check it out. Trading with Force. 3 years. I'll tell the story. It's been 3 years in the making. I did it for a year. Got no traction. I quit for a year. When I restarted, it took off. Right. So I'm not a natural, but now it generates money. It does well.
Which is amazing, bro.
That might be the case for a lot of people, like whatever it is you're doing, but you just have to stick to, your guns and what you wanted to do.
And look, successfully, you've done it in 3 years, bro. Look, BREAKINMIA is on a still ongoing journey, and we're about to hit 8 years, bro. So think about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Undefeated is on a 4-year journey. So it's so important to also understand that it could happen in 3, it could happen in 8, it could happen in 4, it could happen in 10.
But no matter how long it takes, everybody on the outside is gonna be like, "Oh, that happened overnight."
Exactly.
Like, nah, like this huge crazy event.
Yeah,
is the 30th one.
Yeah, but that those words right there is where you gotta really dissect and see what's important to you. Is it everybody's gonna think, or what am I gonna think? Forget what everybody else is gonna think, bro. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody got a perspective. You have to like it. Your team has to like it. You know what I'm saying? I always say, like, my mama has to like it.
Yeah.
Like, Outside perspective, my mom maybe, you know?
Yeah.
But internally, we do this because it feels good, you know?
Yeah.
It feels right to do it.
Yeah. So you started this, or you went from dancing, kind of street performing, and then walk me through like the creation of the studio. Like, how did you bootstrap that? I know that I believe that your dad has the boxing studio.
Yeah, we sold that. We actually sold that business.
Sold that recently.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that, but yeah, kind of how did you start? Like, what was there anxiety like before starting it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people never get to the step of actually renting a space. So like, how were you able to like get over that threshold? How did you analyze it? What was your thought process at the time?
So again, I was obsessed with breaking and just practicing. And as a breaker, I'm pretty sure you experienced this. I'm not sure if in New York is like this, but there was never spots for breakers to go practice. We were always being hosted out of a ballet studio, out of a basketball court, out of a boys and girls club. We were just always kind of being looked out for by somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And you get kicked out of practice spots and you have a practice spot for a year consistently. And then out of nowhere, that gym doesn't want you no more. Like, bro, we experienced getting kicked out of so many places that your practice is not consistent, you know? As I started to get older and I started to see other athletes, Serena Williams, Simone Biles, Conor McGregor, LeBron James, Floyd Mayweather, all these superstar athletes, they have a place to train. Like, we respect them as athletes because they do it at the highest level. You do what you do at a place. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody goes to a job at a certain place. My job is to dance. Sounds hilarious every time I say it, bro. That's what helps me practice every day. My job is to dance. So of course I need my own space to dance, bro. You know? So originally I was practicing at a park, Grapeland here in Miami, Florida. Been practicing there since a kid. Never got kicked out. Practicing there like 8 years. I get sponsored by Monster Energy as soon as I turn 18 years old. And I'm practicing there. I'm wearing my Monster Energy cap. I feel like I'm an athlete, bro. You know, I have this multi-million-dollar brand that believes in me. They sponsor me. This is crazy. At the end of my practice, a security guard comes over and he's like, "Hey, man, you can't be here. Park's closed. You're trespassing." And I was like, "Oh, my apologies. I was just here practicing. Like, I'm a professional athlete. You know, signed to Monster Energy. I was 18. You know."
Yeah.
And he's like, "That's cool, man. Congratulations, but this is private property. You can't be here."
Yeah.
And I remember in that moment being like, I always wanted to be like these professional athletes. Like, how professional do I seem when I sit down at a table to negotiate a deal or just talk about what I have to do when I'm still getting kicked out of places to do what I do? I don't feel professional enough, right? So I was like, no, we need a space, you know? We need a space. So it started off with just, I'm gonna open this place up to practice for me, my crew, and my friends. Because I had just got signed maybe that same week or two. And I was like, it was the first time I saw that much money, one, like legally, and it was mine. And then I was like, I can either blow this off, you know, and be an 18-year-old jit from Miami, or I could use this to potentially, mind you, strong word, potentially make more.
Yeah.
That's the risk. Because that money's coming in for sure already on a monthly
What's
basis.
crazy on that? Hold that thought. You know what's
Yeah.
crazy on that? Is that's the thought most people have is I could spend it
Yeah.
and it's definitely gone. Or
Could potentially.
and you feel the hesitation in your heart. You're like,
Yep.
I might make more.
Yep.
Why is that scarier than just blowing it?
So one of my mentors, Moy, he told me there's a thing called the art of release. And when you see those figures in your bank account, whether it's 5, 6, God bless you with 7, and more, you get infatuated with that number, that visual of waking up and seeing that in your bank account. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to spend it. But realistically, simple quotes, you know, like play big, make big, play small, get small, you know? I've never been afraid of that potential because it's what you're saying. You know, if you spend it, it's gone. Guaranteed. Guaranteed is gone. You might feel good for the moment, but there's nothing physical in this world that can make me feel better than like bringing a vision to life, you know, or bringing an idea to life or blessing someone, you know? It's not really what I could get for myself, but it's what can I turn zero into?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I would say from my perspective, I started at zero.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not a multi-millionaire, but from zero, this is pretty crazy. I didn't, I saw it, but I didn't. To be living in it is and living in the process of it and actually looking back and seeing the shit unfold. Whenever I curse on here, my apologies.
Nah, you can curse.
To see it unfold is like, whoa, it's kind of crazy,
Nah, that's dope, bro. And I think it comes down to this believing in yourself. I mean, it's for the dance people watching this, it's kind of like when you first start breaking and you don't want to go in a circle, right? Because when you go in a circle, you go in a cipher, you got to believe in yourself, right? Everybody's gonna see you. When you try something, everybody's gonna see you. You gotta, when you spend the money, there's no risk. It's like, yeah, you just get the whatever, you get the blow it on weed, you blow it on whatever your thing is, right? But you start a business, now everybody's like, oh, how's that little business coming? Oh, how's that? Now you're, now you're responsible to yourself. There's stuff that you're telling yourself that you then got to go do. And I think that's where people get scared.
The accountability, bro.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. So you basically just jumped into it out of
just
need.
Yeah, just jumped into it with my dad. At that time, I didn't grow up with my dad. I rebuilt my relationship with him when I was like 16. So 2 years of rebuilding that, and then I got that check, and that happened, and I said, "Yo, like props, I wanna do this, like do this with me." And I'm so thankful for my dad for one stepping up to the plate and like really, man, that's my best friend. That is my lifetime business partner. I love him to death. Like he really, nobody's perfect in this world, and I love him unconditionally. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't think the way that I think 100% because growing up without him, I would think this way and be like, where do I get these thoughts from? Then meeting him, actually, and going, now I know why I think how I think, right? So his reassurance and his own accountability that he held himself to be there in my life and be that father figure really helped the space propel into what it is today. We built that space between him and I, more him than I, because I was more so learning, because I was also very interested in construction and like just learning about that. And then, we got real ambitious and we rented out the unit next door and we opened up an MMA gym, built that from zero. We took Fighters Pro, fought on UFC Fight Pass. And then we sold that business for 5 figures and we sold it just like, bro, we did it for as long as we wanted to and we got as far as we could. And we were like, okay, it's time to do something else. And we just sold it to the next person who wanted to continue to pursue that vision, But even in that, like I got to learn how to sell a business and all these things that, mind you, I didn't go to school for any of this.
Yeah.
Like I basically went to online school in like 10th grade. So I basically didn't do school from 10th grade.
I mean, that's the way it's done. I mean, there's no, this is all YouTube Academy.
Bro, the best. YouTube University, like all day.
Nobody tells you like, or people give you the high level notes. Like, yeah, just, go run a studio, start a class. Like, bro, what do you mean start a class? What's the curriculum? How do I get the students?
Yep.
Where do I get the studio? Does it matter?
Yeah.
What floor to get? I'm sure that's,
bro, it's just,
I spent hella time on that.
Trial and error, bro. I spent a lot of time, spent a lot of money, invested a lot of money, lost a lot of money.
Yep.
What else are you going to do with it?
Right.
Like that's just how I look at it. It's like, what else are you going to do with it? And I do this with my friends, bro. We laugh all day, crack jokes all day. It's not hard, man. Like it's just not hard. When you really put the perspective, it's not difficult,
I feel that, bro. What are you working on now? Like, what's next for you? I guess either personally, you could take whatever angle you want with it, but like personally, in terms of you could be whatever you want, but like financially, like what are your aspirations, business wise, or for the studios, or any project that you want to work towards, or an event that you're building towards, or
so
what you doing now?
Just like you, man, long term visionary over here. So we're continuing to build BREAKINMIA and what that vision looks like, and we're continuing to build Undefeated and what that vision looks like, the team, what that vision looks like.
So what is Undefeated for the?
So Undefeated is an event that grew from being a full-on battle focused competition to now it growing into what is called Undefeated Fest. And now it's a 2 to 3 day weekend of workshops, battles, after parties, live music, food, artists, competition, vendors, and activations with like projection mapping and all those things with our partner at Mad Labs. So really, it's just like a festival, a dance festival that's growing into more music based, more artistic based as well, not just dance. Start off with just dance. And now we're in partnerships with a couple of companies where we're gonna hopefully become we're gonna be a part of their path to get to their main events. I don't want to say what company it is, but it's pretty big one that we're proud of.
Dope.
And yeah, man, we're here to be a resource, right? Like we don't want to build this to be we would love to be the best if that's what we end up being. But if we can just be a resource, like we feel fulfilled enough, you know?
Yeah.
If somebody's doing it better and we could just help y'all do it, cool. Because we're focused on so many other things, you know? We understand, like we were saying earlier, we can't be fully focused on everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's going in the right direction. Like today, before here, I was sitting down designing like some of our merch. That's something that we've been planning on doing for years, but we just didn't have the funds to do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just drop a shirt.
Yeah.
And then 20 months later, drop another shirt or a hat, you know? So now we're like coming hard. We're hiring like different brand designers that we think are dope. And the fact that we can hire these people now to design for us is crazy. You know, we know we can't design what people already are good at doing, you know, which is why I used to tell the team, like, this is not the time. I'm not going to sit there and design that. I sit there and I'm going to look at that iPad for like 20 hours.
Right.
Have you seen the SpongeBob episode where he's writing that essay and all he wrote was like
Yeah.
that's me designing some shit, you know? So everything is timing, bro. I just tell people like we're still doing the same thing we've been doing. Do it better and better every day.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
That's dope, bro. So I like to end these with 2 questions, but I'll let you ask. You can ask me anything you want, then I'll ask those 2 questions.
Yeah, man. I mean, for you, it's I'm really interested in like your day trading, like what you do with that, and how it went from day trading into this now, where you want to like teach people, and not only teach people, but also I'm pretty sure you just had a bunch of conversations with people and said I should just record these because talking about a lot of great things, right? You know, so how did it go from just the day trading to then teaching to then giving like a perspective, or shining light on other people's perspective?
So it was always kind of both. So I've been like creating content since pre-YouTube. So like we used to go out and record, like whether I was in like BMX as a kid. So we were recording videos. So I've always had like a passion for being in front of and behind the camera, right? So I started bringing my camera to events, and I have so much footage. I just haven't got it out the door yet. Just trying to record dancers, because I think something I noticed as a dancer is like there's not enough dance content. Like Yak Films was a really big one, but that was like one channel. It's dance. That's 2 channels.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not enough out there. So I was like, all right, let me start recording people. So that's just a personal passion of mine, is video, cinematography.
I've seen you put up some undefeated footage and stuff like that, right?
Yep. I have so much more, bro.
I've seen that.
I just haven't posted it. I have a lot.
Send it raw. What's the song with it?
Yeah. Is that, and like I need a channel for it. So it's like I have my page isn't like I'll post it there, but it's like
we have a channel for it.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. But so yeah, I mean, then finance, like I've always wanted to be, I'm entrepreneurial, like so I have a background in tech, went and worked at a startup. I love business, right? I love creating something that's more than the sum of the parts, right? And so this for me is just putting it all together. I started day trading just personally. I love day trading.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I have a YouTube channel. Let me just talk about what I do every day, and teach people how to do it. Day trading is a good way to, I mean, it's hard. Once you learn it, it could be a way to financial freedom. So that's been a passion of mine, especially growing up in the way that I did, in the place that I did, right? I understand, like for other people like me, that this could be a way out. Right? This could be a way to not have to go and just do the corporate grind. Like you could just teach yourself a skill and use that skill to make money, which will unlock financial freedom. And it's just combining those things together. Then this show is just honestly an excuse to talk to people. I was like, I want to have a talk show. Money is something that everybody has to deal with. So let me talk, especially because it's something that I've thought about as I've made and lost a lot of money, right? My perspective on money has changed, right? Because there's a quote that I heard the other day. It's like, you have all the things that you used to dream about having. And I was like, wow. Wow. How many people, and I know people, like I know people, guys, who have $20, $30 million who are still chasing
what they want.
And you'd think they're out the rat race, but they're just in a different race. And I'm just like, do I want to be in a different race? And so you got to always got to check up on myself and like, okay, why am I still trying to get more money?
Yeah.
It's because I want to, so I'm on the board of Full Circle. So I financially help back that organization. They do events and I don't organize any of it, but I'm happy to do that. Right.
You're a
And so
resource
like,
though. They're able to organize because you're providing capital and funds, you know, that you play a bigger part than you think, you know?
So it's, I'm happy with the part that I play.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think it just comes to, you know, bringing it back to the question, like this is just bringing all it took a while. Like I'm 33 now, right?
Yeah.
So it took years of doing this and then doing that and then doing that. Now I get to do this. But 10 years, who knows? Hopefully more like the next version of this, next iteration. But yeah, man, it's just putting all the pieces together, trying to help people. I think we often think about legacy and impact, and it's just like nobody's gonna remember me. Wow, I'm dead.
But they remember what you did, though. They remember what you did.
Probably not.
If you do it right, they will remember what you did, bro.
But I don't think that matters. I think what I realize is it doesn't matter, right? Like I don't even know who my great granduncle is.
Yeah, true.
Nobody's gonna remember me. But can I help people today? And I think that's the big. People always talk about like these grand gestures. It's like, you know, how many people you pass on the street that just like literally need a hand?
Yeah, yeah.
Not money, but like a hand. Like they just need help sitting up. Right. Yeah. I gave a guy my belt the other day. Homeless guy. Took my belt off. And I was like, this belt doesn't mean shit to me.
Yeah, yeah.
To him, like he needed the belt. His pants didn't fit. I got some pants from somebody that didn't fit.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of impact that I try. And the reason I got to that is because as you get older, you experience loss. What do you think important changes, right? A few of your friends pass away. You start thinking like, damn, like none of this shit matters.
Yeah.
You know? So life is short, and that's why I'm doing this, man. I love doing it.
This is awesome, man. I hope that this grows in every way, shape, or form that you want it to, bro. I know you're gonna have some great conversation on here, and bro, it's an honor to just be a part of this vision, bro. So
thank you, bro. Thank you for joining me. But we're not done yet. I got two questions.
Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
So one hard question, and then the last question is on a nice note. So the first question is, what are you most afraid of?
What am I most afraid of? I mean, honestly, well, I'm a God-fearing man, first and foremost, most importantly. I don't fear a lot of things. I would like to say I think my biggest fear is just not being able to repay my mother in the way that I would like to repay her. You know? That's the only fear I have in this world, man. I think that is my biggest time clock every day. Because I'm 26, but she's not 26. And I'm also getting greedy now, and I kind of want to do it for my grandparents too, you know? And they're like 80, 90 years old, so time clock is ticking, you feel me? So I think that's my biggest fear. Also keeping the balance, understanding, you know, that time is time and life, your plan is your plan, God's plan is God's plan, you know? So I use it as motivation, but I think that's one of my biggest fears. I don't want to have all the success that I'm dreaming of without them being able to experience it, you know?
So I like to play therapist when I ask this question, and I'll ask the obvious question. Do you think your mom feels like you owe her anything?
No, 100% not. Which is why I said keyword. I was like, the way I want to pay her back, you know?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Because for my mom, her biggest thing is that her sons are just not bad people. They're working hard. They're communicative. They're loving, caring. That's what my mom really cares about, you know, quality time. But I saw things that she probably doesn't know that I saw that motivate me in a way that she doesn't know, you know, which is why for me, it's just my own thing that I want to do. So I'm very understanding of what the outcomes can be, but why not use it as a motivation to strive? Because if I say, oh, I'm 26, man, I might take some days off. You know what I'm saying? I got time.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do it for other people.
Yeah. Tomorrow's not promised. In youth, you got time, but not all of it is. I'm not that far ahead of you, but not all of it is 26-year-old time.
100% not, bro.
Right?
100% not.
You know, everything changes. But the last question, what are you most excited about?
Tomorrow, bro. Every day, like, bro, every day is a different day in my life. Or it's like every day is completely different than the last. It's something, bro, that I wake up every day and go, what's going to happen today?
Yeah.
Because
So
every day is a completely different day, bro. Every day. There's things that I have to do every day, but they don't ever get done at the same time. They're usually never done with the exact same people or at the same exact place, you know. My meetings can happen anywhere from a studio to a live studio to a walk on a boardwalk to in a one-star restaurant, five-star restaurant, you know what I'm saying? My practice can happen at my studio, on the street, at a gym. Like, I wake up and just kind of put my day together the way that I want to do it based on the things I need to get done. So I'm always very excited about the next day.
fire, man. Well, that's a wrap. Otherwise, these will be 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So always happy to have you back, man. But man, where can people find you?
Across social, I need to do better at it. Instagram is like the thing that I'm mostly active on. That's just Zeku MIA, Zeku MIA. And then the rest, just follow Breaking MIA. Don't worry about me.
Cool.
Just
I'll put the
Breaking MIA.
links. I'll put the links in the description of this video, bro. But yeah, one last thank you. Appreciate you taking some time coming here have this conversation.
Yes, bro.
And nothing but the best for you.
Thank you, man. It's an honor. Sir. Shout out Foot Soldiers. Stop playing. Quick step.
Thank you. Full stop.
Rockefeller. We know what's up.
I'm never gonna look back, 'cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast.